Hello again, John Bolton. I'm back for the next bit, Module 3. I'm going to talk about technical knowledge and professional practice and the difference between them and what you need to do to demonstrate each. Okay, so this diagram, I've drawn this diagram. You won't see this anywhere else. Basically what it's trying to do is to demonstrate on the x-axis you've got the different levels of knowledge, if you like. At the bottom it's definition and understanding, and then analyse and evaluate. As you go through the different qualifications, you'll be asked to demonstrate different things. If you do the project fundamentals qualification, you'll be asked to define things and definitions of things. As you go through the APM PMQ, it's more about understanding those things and being able to describe them back to somebody. As you go up that stack, you get into this analyse and evaluate and critically evaluate, and that is where you start to look at this advanced technical knowledge concept. And so rather than just understanding what's in a particular thing, you're going to start looking at the component parts of it and how you describe those component parts. So you might know that a change control exists and why you have the different stages, but when you're starting to talk about evaluation of that, it's why is change control a good idea? Why it's a good idea, what the benefits and disadvantages of it are very different from what's actually in it. And we'll use a couple of examples, which it's not a perfect science, this, and it's understood very differently by different people, but I'll just try and demystify it because it is something that confuses people. When you look at this stack, over on the bottom left hand side you've got the basic qualifications like PMQ and Prince 2 and those sorts of things. And they're generally knowledge qualifications. They're looking at uplifting your knowledge levels. We talked a bit about PPQ earlier on. PPQ and PQ are the APM's next level up qualifications from APM PMQ. And the idea is that people will go and do PMQ, then PPQ, and then chartered. So they see it very much as a developmental thing. That doesn't mean you can't intercept that at a different point. It's not linear. You don't have to start at the bottom and work your way up. You can sort of come in halfway through and just work your way up from there. But what they're doing is they're also looking at different aspects of you. Theoretical application really is PPQ, which is very heavily biased towards a case study. But chartered, RPP and chartered are very much about real world. So they're looking for professional practice and application of technical knowledge in the real world. All right. So that's why we keep banging on about this. It's what you do, what I, me, mine, not we, us, our. It's about you and what you do. So where does chartered fit? It's right at the top, and it's the broad spectrum of all those different things. For those of the academics amongst you, you'll recognise a thing called Bloom's taxonomy. Level 1 is describe, level 2 is understand. Level 3 and level 4 is what chartered is looking at. Now, if any of you have got a degree, you'll know that you will have had to have done compare and contrast. You'll have had to look at one theory and another theory, compare the two, and work out which one's best. That's level 3, analyse, level 4, evaluate and critically evaluate. Level 5 is where you do your dissertation, so your PhD or your master's. You're taking other people's research, combining it and creating something new. We're not looking at create, we're not looking at understand or describe, we're looking at levels 3 and 4 here. We're looking at taking stuff, analysing it, critically evaluating it and coming up with some sort of recommendation. One of the things that people shy away from is taking a stand. If you don't think earned value is a good idea, don't pretend it is. Right? When you're in your interview, if you don't think earned value was a good idea for your particular project and you can explain why, that will be respected. And that is exactly the sort of thing they're looking for. Don't get into an argument, but it can be very useful to stick to your guns, and be forthright. Analyse is about analysing a particular thing. So example here is analyse a car, right? So it's got wheels, it's got a chassis, it's got a motor, it's got so on and so forth, steers. I can analyse it, I can break it down to its component parts. So analysis is about its component parts of that thing or concept. A concept in project management would be a change control process, identification, assessment, implement response, that sort of thing. All right. So the next one is evaluate. Evaluate is clues in the title. Evaluate means place a value on. I can evaluate something. I can say that car is faster than that car. That car's bigger than that car because I can measure it. it's quantitative. It's got a certain substance that we can compare one with another. It's not open for discussion. It's not something that we can get into an argument about. That car is bigger than that car, right? And that's the end of that. That building's bigger than that building. When you get into critically evaluate, we're talking about you providing an opinion. So critically evaluate is about you providing an opinion. Do you think that car is better than that car? We've described the fact it's faster, but is fast a good thing? That's more economical. Is economical a good thing? Why? If you've got a two-seater sports car and 4 children, it's not a terribly good car for transporting the family around. You might like it. You might place a high value on it. And that value might be very opinionated. It might be factual. So I've got 4 children, 2 seats in the car doesn't work for the family. Or it might be, do you know what, I really like that car because it's just the car I've always wanted. And that's me offering a subjective opinion. Subjective opinions are useful. Objective opinions are useful. Try and balance them though, because you can get very embittered about, what's good and what's bad if you're not careful. So try and come up with a balanced reasoned judgment. Look, earned value didn't work on that project because it wasn't a very big project, because I didn't have a lot of project support, because we didn't have very good data collection. So I could have put all that in place and used earned value, but really it wasn't probably worth it. If I had a bigger project where we had some of those things in place, it would be worth it and I can see the value of it. So have something to say about it. Don't just take it on fact, oh, I did a change control process that looked like this because that's what it said in the book. The assessor's going to go, okay, so why did you do that then? What did it add any value? What was the purpose of it? Oh, I don't know, it just seemed like filling in paperwork to me. That's not going to be a great answer. If you're doing something on a project, have an answer, have a reason why you're doing it, and that's what critically evaluates about. All right. Lots of words. If you go onto the website, onto Google, you're going to find lots of words about critically evaluate, and they will confuse you. I think just you've got to try and cut through some of the noise and just think about what's the purpose of this question. Critically evaluate something, evaluate, place a value on it, and then be critical about it. And the more subjective it is, the more difficult it's going to be to apply quantitative measures to it. I'm talking about evaluation and critical evaluation here because it's primarily more important in the interview, but it's also important for your professional practice application, because what you don't want to do is you don't want to write a load of stuff in your written application, then get asked questions about it at interview and you can't substantiate the two don't marry up. All right. So this topic spans professional practice and technical knowledge, but I want to mention it at the beginning because let me tell you for why. I see people write applications and they say, oh, I use the CPI and SPI as a cost trend on my project. Okay, that's cool. That would probably get through your written application. When you get to the interview and the assessor looks you straight in the eye and goes, so John, can you just tell me what's a good CPI then? And you go, oh, what do you mean CPI? They say, well, you mentioned it in your application. Oh, did I? Oh, yeah. Oh, well, that's earned value. Yes, I know what it is, but what's a good CPI? And the candidate sits there like a bunny caught in the headlights, and it all goes horribly wrong. Make sure that you're not teeing yourself up for something that you can't deal with later on. When you get into the interview, you might get the question anyway, right? So talk to me about earned value. You might do that, but just don't set yourself up for a fall. So in summary, be prepared to not just know your stuff, okay? Be able to substantiate that knowledge with a critique. You may need to have more than one example to draw on when you come to the interview, and don't underestimate demands on your fundamental technical knowledge.